Greetings from the cosmic horror. The stars are right once again, and the great old ones allow us to talk about for 30 plus minutes H.P. Lovecraft, the horror writer who is a genre unto himself. I'm your cosmic host, Mark Griffin, executive of the Lovecraft Estate on Yawgith, joined in from Material World with Richard Wilson, who's the fourth unit director of the Out of Frame film short. Our guest today is Eric Roper. He's a writer, artist, producer, and entertainer for OmniStream. It's based in Louisville. And John, is that Risner? Is that your last name?
That's correct.
John Risner. And you're, I guess you're a partner of Eric's as well?
Yes, we partner on a bunch of different ventures. I'm a writer, screenwriter.
Teacher. Like don't forget teacher.
Oh yeah, I teach screenwriting and writing too. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I do have my first question for you, Eric. You go by a different name, Enrica. How you say it?
You talking about Rico? Is that what you're talking about?
You know, when you're writing, you have like this Facebook.
Oniric.
Oniric.
Yeah, it means relating to dreams.
Okay. You know, when we were, I guess like a disclosure, we were in college together at Murray State. And by the way, Richard is also a Murray grad. And you know, when I knew you, you were Eric, but other people knew you as Rico. Right. And now you have this other name. What's this going on with all these names?
Man of many names. He's got a bunch.
Having a good persona on the internet. Don't want to have everything relate back to Eric Roper sometimes.
So that way you ever decide to run for office, you'll have your record clean and all that.
That was somebody else who made those statements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me about OmniStream. Oh.
Well, actually, we started out as Slipstream way back when you remember that. We were doing comics. My main thing was Deanna at the time. We never got past the ash can. We tried, but we really didn't. Hey, you got the shirt on. But you know, because I'm with some different people, we kind of went from OmniStream and or Slipstream and changed it to OmniStream, which actually means all streams, because we want to do, you know, all streams of media. We like photography, film, fiction, and art, and those are the things that we kind of base on. So far, we've done a movie project, short film, and we've done a book project. And in the works, we got some free web novels coming up. John's got it handy.
Yeah. We all have our copy of the book.
Yeah.
And I guess I'll start off time at the film short that y'all did. And Eric, you were like the co-writer, producer, production designer, set designer, assistant film editor, casting producer, third unit director, title designer, and composer.
Stop saying all that stuff.
Well, if you don't always say it, don't put on your credits.
Well, yes, that's true. That's true. You know, I did a lot of the you know, kind of the, you know, I guess from producing, and when we needed to like shore up something, if we didn't have somebody, I was there to do it. So that's the way it went. And a lot of the creative direction when it came to the Death Series pictures and the Voyeur pictures, I worked with Bill Brown on that. And we came up with that look for Damien's photography work. John was the one who came up with Damien's character.
I was going to ask you about your involvement with it as well. Or I guess explain exactly what the film short was about, you know, for those who haven't seen it.
The film is about a young photographer who has kind of gotten to the point where his work's not selling, or the kind of work that he does isn't selling as well as it once was. And when the movie starts, a person from his past, John Godwin, appears, and you can tell that there's something weird in their relationship. And it turns out that John's a serial killer. And Damien, the way Damien had gotten inspiration for his previous works was that he was taking photographs of the murders, and then turning those into artworks. And the story is how he had decided he didn't want to do that anymore, and then John has come back into his life, pulling back in by hook or by crook. He's going to make him, his minion once again, and that's this power struggle that the story's about.
And you had an interesting
Did I
comment
get that right,
about it.
Greg? Is that succinct enough?
Yeah.
I was like over here saying, spoilers, don't give out the spoilers.
Oh yeah, if we don't want to give spoilers.
Broaching it.
Okay, well, then we won't say that then.
Yeah, because that goes too deep into how it ends. So yeah.
I didn't tell what I didn't tell you how it was.
I guess we could say that it almost he kind of felt maybe he didn't know if it was like a Fight Club or like a American Psycho type ending, with it. If you catch what I mean by that.
Yeah, I do. And in the nature of works like this, how we started out with the story, it morphed and changed as we were shooting, and certain things that worked on paper didn't work while we were filming it. So some things got tweaked. Our director had input. Sometimes we didn't know he even had input, but it's like, it's a collaborative effort, and a lot of things go into the story as it changes, as you're filming it.
Yeah. What was that, Eric?
I said sometimes we would come back to set and things would just be changed.
I guess what's one of the big.
Like, did you change that dialogue? Or like, no, I didn't change it. Changed it. Yeah. One of our lead actors, he couldn't stick to the script sometimes, and he would ad-lib his lines. Usually they worked. Sometimes we're like, okay, let's try that again the way we actually wrote it. It was a good time. There's sometimes you want to kill people.
He said that,
and because of things that were going on. But no, it was a good experience.
Yes.
Now we all plan that to be like an anthology or something, because you had like this out of frame, especially like with a book and all that was it planning on being like maybe like a Twilight Zone or a Black Mirror type thing you were hoping to do?
Well, with the out of frame anthologies, which is a little different, that's what we were hoping to do with that set. But out of frame actually started that storyline where we decided to go off the theme of out of frame, where it's about the artist's journey into a dark world. And so that's where we got into out of frame anthologies. It's not like connected, but it's connected by theme.
Yeah.
Oh, kind of like loosely connected together. And
well, the theme of the anthology is it doesn't have to. It's different types of creative people. Where it's a sculptor or an artist or a filmmaker, and like the line between genius and insanity is a thin one in a lot of respects, and what can happen if someone goes too far in one direction, and things can lead to murder or something like that, in the pursuit of their masterpiece in their mind. So, and that's what each of the stories are. They can be about anything, but that's the main theme.
Mm-hmm.
And now this was a writing contest, wasn't it? The anthology that y'all did?
Yeah, we started out as a writing contest on that because we wanted to, get input. We had three main people. It was Sarah Witt, John, and myself were the main three. And then we picked three winners out of the submissions that we got. So, and luckily for John, one of the writers that submitted his work in was a lead a showrunner on one of your favorite TV shows, right?
Yeah, on Strike Back, the HBO or Cinemax had a series, Strike Back, which I love that show, and it turned out that Jack Lothan was the head writer for that, and I never got a job out of it as a writer on that series, which is what I was thinking. It's good talking to the guy and reading his stories and things like that.
No, he did the Red Hollow story, did he?
Yes.
That was the one about the actor who was like on the like kind of the Friday 13th type movie, and he wasn't doing a good job at it. Needed an acting coach, basically.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that was kind of a neat idea for a story, and all that. And I have to say that I've read all the stories, and a lot of the stories were kind of like, the person was kind of like almost like a slave to his art. But both of y'all's were, you had like basically you're like the masters of y'all's art. You're insane people of your art. And, uh, and I have to,
Takes one to know one,
yeah. Especially your story, John. I never realized that the tools of a sculptor could be used by a serial killer as well. Like
yeah. There's, I mean, if you've ever been into an artist studio, there's a lot of things that you can kill somebody with. Just all kinds of stuff, especially if it's a sculptor. I mean, like a painter, it's a little harder, but a sculptor, there's all kinds of things to.
Now, do you do sculpting, or do you know sculptors?
No, I took some sculpting classes in college, so that's how I got that background. I still have my little mallet that used to beat clay.
Right under his desk.
Right at arm's length.
Yeah. Yeah, you got that too handy, I have to say.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Eric, you did the one There Will Be Cookies. Now, was that based on a real writers group experience or anything?
Well, actually, I was in a writers group when I was doing that story, and I was bringing it to the group, and they were getting a little scared of me. They're like, "Is this us?" I'm like, no, it's not. But yeah, there was some things, and I think from the story. Yeah.
That was talking to tell us like so it's not necessarily the characters, in the story, but also the reader, but how the flow of the story.
Right.
And jump into some of your other stuff that I guess you've yet to release. There's like the Fantasy Underground Tales.
Mm-hmm.
What are those exactly? All right.
I really like the way that Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you go back? We froze up, and it's
okay. Do I need to start at the beginning?
Yeah, start at the beginning. It's like as soon as you start talking, you were.
Okay. No, I said, I've always wanted to get into like online comics, because I've always been into comics. I originally wanted to get into print comics, but after, found out about the online comics, I looked at the formats and the way that a lot of the online comics play or read online. I really liked the way that webtoons were set up. And then when I was doing the research in there, I noticed that, hey, they're doing full novels, like releasing chapters per week on the web. So, I went back to John. I was like, hey, man, I think, because, we're up and coming and because we need to form kind of like, like a fan base, we shouldn't say it. We should charge right out, right? We'll give a chance for the work to get out there, live, breathe, create a fan base. And so we decided, okay, well, we're going to do a full novel, but we're going to release it several times a week, in chapters. And, we set that at about, I think 2,000 plus. We've been going over on that on the word count. But, in the end, like I said, it's going to equal a web. It's going to equal a full novel. And then after we get that completed, we're going to take it off the web, and then we're going to put it out as a book. And then hopefully, if we can get some, if we got the fan base, we can get Kickstarters to do webtoons, movies, and release it in different medias. So go ahead.
How's this working out? Are you doing the drawing and John's doing the writing, or?
No, actually, we're both writing our own projects, and we're going to be producing our own projects as we go. So I'm working on My Pet Hellhound right now, and John is working on a Princess in
Crimson.
Yeah, there you go.
Now these aren't graphic novels. These are all prose style.
Okay.
Full novel.
Yeah, full novels. Now, mine's about this young girl. She's getting ready to graduate high school, and it's in the not too distant future when vampires and werewolves and creatures of the night have been given legal rights and acknowledged as being, people by the governments of the world. Basically because another type of COVID, more of a hemorrhagic kind of fever, had broken out, which was the mortality rate of that was like 80%. And the vampires had a cure. And they said, we'll let you have this free of charge, but you got to give us these concessions. So the girl, Zara Hitchcock, she's for years has said that her mother was killed by werewolves, and no one believed her. And even after the acknowledgement that these creatures exist, people are still saying, no, we still think you made all that up. So she ends up going to this university that's been started by the king of the vampires, Maximilian, the House of Crimson. Each of the major houses is a different color. And this university is set up to be for humans and the night creatures to learn together and come to accept each other. And she sort of gets blackmailed and having to go there, but she realizes that there's some type of connection between her mother's death and the Crimson Court. So it's sort of a mystery that she's trying to figure out what's going on. Plus, some of the things that's happening to her while she's there.
And y'all are like, you're writing the story from beginning to ending, and then you're going to like release it like a chapter at a time or something, or? Yes,
this is a 3-novel trilogy. And then there's also another trilogy where she's like 8 years older, and she's working for the United States government in the Homeland Security. So this is sort of her backstory for the other novels.
Yeah, and what you were saying, Mark, what we're doing is we're working out to getting it, 75% done. Then we'll start our release. And as it's releasing, we'll finish it up, and then we'll start working on our next project. So we got things planned for just not this, like John's saying, not just for this project, but for future stuff after that as well.
Okay, and do you have I think there's like it's a schoolgirl, was that another project y'all working on?
Yeah, actually, that one started out as a movie idea. It's called Die Bloodsuckers Die, and this is a prequel story. And since this is going to come out first, it's going to be like the first chapter in the story of the character. So yeah.
And then there's one called In Extremis. I think so. I say that.
Yeah, In Extremis, I'm working on with Stephen Radford. He went to Murray State as well. He does really great graphic art. That's going to come out as what is called a Digi Epic Plus, and it's basically going to be set up so it can display on phones, TVs. It's going to have, kind of animated special effects in it. It's still going to have traditional art, but it's still going to, you've seen some, like, it's going to be sort of like some of the motion comics that you've seen. And in that one, it's kind of like the main character. There's two characters, Grim Tammy, and then Killer James. And in those two are led by two competing factions. One is like a very religious, and one's a very like atheistic, and it's kind of a forbidden love with those two characters.
Yeah, and so when do you find time to do all this stuff?
Every day.
That's my biggest problem.
We're nicking off something. It may not be like as much as we want, but we're nicking it off. Yeah. If you look down on the Schoolgirl and In Extremis, it's like next year.
Yeah. So you working on all the stories all at one time, or like you pick like Monday, I'm going to do like Schoolgirls, or Tuesday, doing Hellhounds, or
actually a lot of that stuff I have in the bank. But with My Pet Hellhound, that started out as a film. And so I had a majority of that script done. And so I had to convert that script over to a novel.
What about you, John? Do you find the right time to do all this?
It's you got to cut the time out. You got to carve some time out. I've been working on A Princess in Crimson. I'm literally writing, before I jumped on here, a story. It's a Western horror story. I've done that. I've also got I got a comic book coming out with it's a Spiral Mind warrior ethos with a P3 Comics. These guys from down in Texas. It's been taking years for this book to come out. Supposedly it's coming out within the next month or so. So hopefully I'll have that. And I'm also supposed to be I'm writing a TV series for a production company and doing the series Bible. So fingers crossed on that. It's busy. Eric's always kicking my ass though. I was like, hey, you got that chapter done? Where you got on that chapter? Come on.
Yeah. And he's also putting together materials so that he can do online classes.
Yeah, I'm doing that too. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Is that for screenwriting or something else?
Yeah, it's screenwriting. Yeah.
And do you do a lot of screenwriting?
When I get a chance, I mean, like with all this other stuff going on, it's a little hard. But yeah, you always get those stories percolating in your head, and you're like, oh, that would be good. And then you watch something that's like, how did those people have the exact same idea I had? Like, all right, back to the drawing board. So while people are like, do you ever like watch a movie and like going, how do they get their job? Writing screenplays, because like you're like going, I could have done a better job on that. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, well, it's also, and I tell when I teach these courses, I tell my students that this course is going to ruin watching movies for you for a little bit, because you're going to know where certain things are supposed to happen within this, within the structure of the screenplay. Certain things are supposed to happen, and if they don't happen, you're going to, in the back of your head, you're going to think, hey, he missed something, or why did they do that, and why are they making that character act so stupid? And basically it's because the writer was lazy and couldn't figure out a better way to do it, so they just made the character stupid. So when you write screenplays and you watch a movie, you got to try to shut that screenwriter off, so he's not nitpicking the screen, and so you can just enjoy it. One of the hazards of being a screenwriter is that the director will look at it and go like, "It's a great script, I love it," and then they'll change everything in there. Yeah. Don't get me started on that.
Yeah. Don't get me started, please.
Yeah. I'll be bitching all the
time. Have you had that happen to you then?
Yeah, Eric's done that to me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I write a scene where a guy's got a knife and he ends up with a gun. I was like, where'd that gun come from? I don't know. It was easier to get a gun. I was like, okay, whatever works.
Okay. Anyway, and going back to you, Eric, just a little trip down memory lane. What happened to Diana?
Diana.
Yeah.
Well, I told you I never got past that ash can. I have it on my wall over here. Frame. I actually, I think back in 2014, after I, had, started having family, having my kids and everything, my time was very hard to, get into a lot of my projects. So I started in 2014. I was like, I'm going to do her as a novel. And so, all how what did they say, John? What's that say? Many developing projects.
Yeah.
What's going on? That's a mini developing project. So I got half of that novel out. So written, and then I have it all outlined, and then I moved on to I think it was Out of Frame was finished at that time, but so I don't know. It was another project. Then I moved on. Yeah.
And what was she going to be, like a warrior woman?
Well, she's the goddess Diana, a reincarnation. So, was doing a kind of a different take on it, where she was a goddess, but she rejected that being, having God status or godhood. And so it was all about her learning to deal with that.
I've never heard about this. As long as I've known you, you've never told me about this.
Mark, show him the shirt. Show him the shirt.
Yes, here's the T-shirt that he had.
Oh wow! Cool.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Got one of the last surviving shirts.
Yeah. I have another shirt too for something called Bonag.
Yeah, that's Stefan's work. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one is extremist. Yep.
Yeah.
Still same.
So you weren't involved with that one as well?
Huh?
You weren't involved with Bonag. You just had the T-shirt. Whenever I'm not sure how I got it from you, but I was like,
I was like, here, take these. I had a whole box of them.
yeah. And it's held up well over this time.
Yeah.
And going back to Murray, you may remember that we worked on a TV show back then called Off the Wall.
Off the Wall.
Off the Wall. So what was Off the Wall?
Creation. It was the dating game with a twist. Oh man, that was great. We actually had basically 3 contestants, where there was male or female, and then we had one contestant that would choose from those 3. We had a partition between them, and they would ask questions back and forth, basically, the same as the dating game. But we had what gave it the twist, though. We had a dating analysis, a doctor or dating doctor called was it Dr.
Schizo?
Schizo. And he would come in and he would just, it was our friend Tim, and he would just do some crazy questions and liven it up. So yeah, it was fun. It was actually our first foray into like working with cameras, working in the master control, working with the talent and all that stuff. So it was fun.
Yeah. None of the contestants ever went on a date. That was the thing.
Well, yeah. What we found out is that they could see each other, through the master control glass. That I was like, he's like, I could see her right through the glass. The reflection was right there. So we took the partition down.
Should have done something different then.
This idea to Fox right now.
They're looking for those kinds
of
ideas.
Yeah. All right. Since this is a Lovecraft show, what influence did Lovecraft have on you? Both of y'all.
You want to go first?
Well, I do like of course, I've learned a lot through you, Mark. I really like the imagery of Cthulhu. I actually watched a YouTube on what is it called? It's called Cosmic
Horror.
Yeah, Cosmic Horror. I watched that and learned a lot more. And I didn't realize what Cthulhu was. Is like, I always thought he was like the main god, but then I found out more about the gods that were like outside of time. And I really like a lot of the elements. I have a thick book on H.P. Lovecraft, but I never got around to getting to that yet. It's on my to-do list.
Did Lovecraft have any influence on you, John?
Mine was more from movies made from or based on his stories, like the Dunwich Horror, and I think with Dean Stockwell. That
yeah.
Is that who? Yeah, I'm surprised I remember that. And then the Hellboy comics. There's a lot of that is taken from H.P. Lovecraft, and the whole idea. I think a lot of the modern horror owes a lot to H.P. Lovecraft. And then I've read about the guys that were doing pulps back then, and his life wasn't all that great sometimes. So that in some ways he's kind of a sad figure, from what I've read. But
he's a complicated figure.
Yes, yeah.
That'd be the best way to describe him, because it's like there's some things I really admire about him, and other things I'm like, you just want to wring his neck and go like, why do you do that? And all that. And throwing his little, there are some Lovecraft references to Louisville, believe it or not. One of his friends, Helm Spink, would write to Lovecraft, and he lived in Louisville, and he was a printer. And he worked for the George Feder Printing Company, and he printed Lovecraft's one of his poetry books, the Further Criticisms of Poetry. And so there's a Louisville connection with Lovecraft. And some other interesting little weird fiction elements. Have you ever heard of the science fiction writer Stanley Weinbaum? He was born in Louisville, and his claim to fame is that he kind of like wrote the first aliens that were like considered like most aliens portrayed in stories were kind of like evil and mean and out to conquer the world, and his were kind of like were given like distinct cultures and personalities, and they weren't always bad. They were maybe misunderstood, and you had to understand what they understand them. But he kind of like gave like a new depth to to aliens, and Lovecraft admired his work. He died really young. He died like in his 30s. So there's like only like a few of his stories that he got to write before he passed on. And there's another weird fiction writer. He wasn't born in Louisville, but he grew up in Louisville. And he is Robert Barber Johnson. And he would go to a fire station in Louisville and read the weird, pick up issues of weird fiction, weird tales from there, and take them home. And that was his first introduction, to weird fiction through that. And he later grew out of that and started like writing circus stories. And so, I didn't know there was a big market in that, but apparently he was making more money writing circus stories, and all that. And then, one of the most famous things was that Louisville got nuked at the end of the Return of the Living Dead movie.
I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, I see you're doing well, from all that.
You got over it.
Yeah.
That's a great movie.
Yeah. And usually something on this show, we kind of like explore one word. It's kind of like associated like either Lovecraft or the guest we're talking to. And I guess we'll explore, I guess, like one of the most misunderstood or mispronounced words in the English language that has something to do with both of y'all. How do you pronounce the city you live in?
Louisville.
I'm Louisville, so.
Louisville, yeah.
I didn't grow up here. I'm from Ohio. So.
Yeah.
And there's some that say Louisville.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I found a news article. They were talking about the way to pronounce, and they said Louisville is definitely the wrong way to say it. It was like one of the problems I had like with movies. They had people and says like, I'm from Louisville. You're like going, no, you're not. You wouldn't say that.
The thing is, it was named after the King of France. His name was Louis, so it's Louisville.
Yeah,
that's me.
Yeah, but Kentucky always.
That's technically correct as far as me.
But Kentucky always like
kind of correct.
Mangles the French language in it.
They do.
Like Versailles and Versailles, stuff like that, and all that stuff. Anyway, anything y'all want to say before we sign out? Anything you want to add? We might have forgotten to bring up.
We have another anthology on the drawing board as well. I think Eric forgot to plug that.
Yeah, what is it? Inform us.
We are gonna do that as a trilogy. And so we have 2 more contests that are going to be coming up, but we're going to work on that next year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess if people want information, they can go to your website, the OmniStream.
Yep. Yeah.
Is that omnistream.com?
Omnistream.com.
And that's OMNESTREAM.
Yep, that's it.
All righty.
And my website is Screenwriter Inc., either with a K or a C. I have both domains. .com.
Good idea.
That's a good way to do it. So that way it gets misspelled.
It's got redundancy.
Yeah. And then it end up on some porn site.
I'd probably make more money.
With a K.
Yeah. Anyway, thank y'all for joining us. Richard and our guests, I see the stars are no longer right. We must cease all discussion till they line again next month. 30 Minutes with H.P. Lovecraft is sponsored by Damian Drake's Death Series, now showing at the Princess Cthulhu Gallery. This podcast was created in association with LovecraftPod.com and the Logan Speculative Fiction Group, with the help of the Logan County Public Library and the Great Old Ones. Special thanks to Katie Tyson for never failing us, and Joshua Dukes for Dexter's Chest.